How did your cross-cultural experience give you insight into other cultures and contribute to your education as a soon-to-be nurse?
While I was in Costa Rica, I was able to see how healthcare is run in a different country and culture. They don't spend their money making their hospitals big and fancy like we do here. They use their money towards the actual healthcare side of it. While they have much less access to healthcare than we do here, they still put such a focus on preventative measures. They have so many people living to be over 100 years old. Their diet and lifestyles also contribute to their long life expectancies. They eat a lot of fruits and vegetables that are extremely fresh and don't have all the chemicals that our foods do. Given all of the information I learned and all the things I experienced while in Costa Rica, I believe that I can share that information as a nurse. I can help people improve their lifestyle and give them advice on how to live to be 100 years old.
How has taking classes outside of your major helped grow your knowledge and make you a more marketable nurse?
I always thought that going to college was to solely focus on what your major is and what you want to do with the rest of your life. And I was actually upset when I found out I had to take other classes. I wanted to focus on becoming a nurse. I didn't understand why I needed to take psychology or an art class to do that. By taking these classes, I opened up my view of the world. I took a psychology course as a general ed requirement, which is part of the PILE core requirements, and I realized how much I enjoy psychology, and I am now a nursing major with a minor in psychology. I took photography class as my fine arts credit and realized that I love being able to capture the world through different lenses. Simply just by adjusting the angle, I take a picture. I gain insight on different views of the world, and having that knowledge makes me a more marketable nurse simply just because I'm not closed off to only the sciences and how to insert an IV.
What experiences have you had that was part of your schooling that has increased your knowledge of working with patients as well as people in general?
Being a nursing major, we have clinical practicum that is required. While I've known I always wanted to work with kids, we don't get that experience very often in relation to school. I was almost forced to look at what it's like to be a nurse for people other than kids and babies. I was given the opportunity to work with the elderly population, which showed me how much wisdom these people have and the incredible stories they have to share. I have recently been working with middle aged adults who understand that everyone starts somewhere, and working on them is my start. They let me do just about anything they need in the hospital, and they trust me. While I am still set in my pediatric setting, I am more open to working with adults and may even get to that point sometime in my life where I solely work with adults. I not only know how to care for these patients, but I know how to better communicate with them. I am able to relate in a sense that I can talk to just about anyone and feel comfortable doing so.
How has working with kids from different cultures, your CCE, etc., changed your views on treatment of children in the United States and giving them the best possible care?
When I was in Costa Rica, we spent a lot of time with the elderly. However, we also spent some time with the kids there. We visited a daycare and were given the opportunity to play soccer with some of the local kids. While this wasn't much of the trip, we were able to get a sense of what it's like being a kid there. Many of the children at the daycare most likely won't even make it through high school because so many of them were born into drug homes. When playing soccer with the kids, there were so many who looked very malnourished and were running around without shoes on, and the ground was not suitable for walking barefoot. While I do know that there are areas in the US that kids also go through life like this, it's extremely common throughout the entire country of Costa Rica. I do, however, see kids come into my work with similar attributes to those who I spent time with in Costa Rica with, and seeing them only makes me want to help these children more. I know many parents can't spend the entire day at the hospital with their kid, so they need someone there that's going to support them during the time that the parents are gone. I want to be the person who can be there for them and support them through such a tough time.
How has Carol helped you grow in ways that other schools could not have done?
Carol's overall environment helps me to succeed in all that I do. I've been given so many opportunities to grow as a nurse in their program, which has already taught me more than I thought my brain could hold. I have so many resources to help me succeed, which really supports that the school wants its students to succeed overall. Some other schools make their curriculum extremely hard and don't give you any support to keep you going. The professors are so helpful and want to see us do great things in our lives. I have done so much more than I ever thought I could with the support I have been given by choosing to come to Carroll, and I will continue to excel in everything I do in my life because of everything I've learned this far in college.
What experiences have you had at Carroll that will aid you in your acceptance of other cultures that you may encounter in the hospital?
The CCS general education progression that Carroll provided was focused on the incorporation and understanding of cultures into the curriculum throughout students' academic careers. I took a class called The Universality of Stratification. In this class, we read and reflected on articles concerning controversial injustices and prejudices faced by various groups of people. In class, we discussed the causes and effects of the inequalities studied. Here, I learned that gaining an understanding of obstacles that minority populations face is the only way to truly understand how they view the world. With an emphasis on the cultural relativity aspect, I was able to practice putting myself into the shoes of those who are systematically oppressed. This included the mistrust of certain systems and people based on stereotypes or past experiences. Because patients' families may have religious or ethnic backgrounds that conflict with my own ideology, I will utilize the cultural relativism tactics that I learned in this course as well as my CCD and CCE classes to better my understanding of their perspectives.
What experiences have you had prescribing exercises for others? How can you incorporate this knowledge into a pediatric PT position?
Carroll's curriculum for exercise science involves multiple classes that focus on prescribing exercises for individuals. Through this program, I have been taught to create an exercise program at appropriate intensities for young, old, sick, and healthy individuals. In labs for these classes, I have also been able to work with patients to improve interactions and motivational skills. Carroll's program emphasizes the importance of treating the individual needs. Because of this, I feel confident providing exercises and motivation at different levels depending on a patient's illness, attitude, and progress. I've learned that there is not just one correct answer and that adaptations may need to be made if the patient is in pain. My prescription classes have taught me that motivation is key when treating the individual, and sometimes one must think outside the box. Whether this means changing a prescription or making a game to keep patients engaged, the prescription classes that I have taken at Carroll challenged and grew my creativity with patient plans. No matter where a patient falls on the continuum of sickness versus health, I feel that I am prepared to treat and motivate them to rehabilitate them to the best of my ability.
Have you ever experienced language barriers? In what situations did this occur, and how did you go about communicating?
While on my CCE in Bali, I did experience language barriers. As a class, we completed numerous volunteer opportunities and got to know locals in the rural part of Bali. This trip opened my eyes to the difficulties of language barriers on our very first day. My classmates and I stayed in homestays with families where only one or two family members spoke any English. On our first day there, we met some children at our homestay, and they were very curious about us. They immediately wanted to play with us, but were unable to communicate it. I judged by their body language that they were hyper and wanted to play with us even though we didn't speak the same language. Over the next few days, we were able to play and communicate through motions and mimicking. We soon learned each child's name and strengthened our relationship with them by learning some Balinese words. My classmates and I also taught English classes to adults and children in the village. These people were slightly more knowledgeable with the English language, so we were able to make up games for them to practice English with us. The students often had to tell us Balinese words for every English word they said. The locals were so grateful that we attempted to learn their language that I made some friends through it. I still message my Balinese friends to help them with their English today. This shows that even with language barriers, relationships can be formed through the effort to learn someone else's language. Because an effort to speak or learn a language can build relationships, I am more confident in using my Spanish in conversations with patients. In doing this, I will separate myself from other care providers and make families and patients feel more welcomed.
The PT program you were in was accelerated. How has this benefited your time and stress management skills? In what ways will you integrate what you have learned into your position in the hospital?
With Carol's 3+3 Doctorate of Physical Therapy program, there is not much time to procrastinate. There are high expectations set for undergraduates to maintain their direct admit status. This being said, it is a stressful emphasis to have. Time management is necessary while in the program, especially when involved in sports or jobs in addition to a busy academic schedule. With so many responsibilities and obligations, I utilize a calendar and a to-do list to stay on top of my work. This helps me stay organized and minimizes stress I feel over assignments. When I completed my CCE in Bali, Indonesia, I was able to learn how to relax, and I gained a new perspective on life. Learning this has helped me with stress management immensely. Relaxation techniques are one of my favorite takeaways from my incredible trip to Bali. These techniques have aided me in lowering my stress levels throughout school. This will undoubtedly be useful after a long work week as well. Because of my learned relaxation, I will be less likely to become burnt out in pediatric physical therapy position. As for time management, I have developed my skills thoroughly while maintaining a high GPA, working as a supplemental instructor, and being captain of women's volleyball team. In this position, I will adapt the skills that I learned in this area to stay on top of patient notes and to ensure sufficient time is spent with patients. There are only 8 hours in a workday, and I plan to spend as much time as possible being productive.
In what ways has Carol's language programs influenced your fluency in Spanish? Have your experiences increased your confidence and ability to speak the language?
Carol's language programs, namely Spanish, focus on the spoken aspect of the language. Course requirements such as cultural events, talk abroad sessions, small group speaking practice, and translation opportunities make Carol's Spanish program unique. These situations have great transition to real-life situations. Cultural events allow for Spanish practice and learning about different Spanish-speaking cultures. A challenge with Spanish is the amount of different dialects and accents that are present around the globe. Talk abroad sessions allow students to speak with people from different countries and decipher Spanish with an entirely new accent. This helps prepare non-native speakers for real-life situations with Spanish speakers who have different accents than students are used to. This practice became helpful in a translation opportunity that I took part in. For a Spanish class concerned with the immersion of students into different cultures, I volunteered to help with a food pantry as a translator for one weekend. I had the opportunity to assist Spanish-speaking families with getting groceries, toiletries, and clothing they needed from the donated supplies. This was a challenging task because I couldn't always understand what families were saying. However, I believe that being in an uncomfortable situation promotes personal growth. As the situation was not my most comfortable time, I grew through my uncomfortability. Overall, the emphasis that Carol places on spoken language aspects of its Spanish program provided me with the greater confidence to speak with potential patients and families in the hospital.
How did your cross-cultural experience at Carroll prepare you for the encounters you will have with patients with cultures that vary from your own?
Carroll's CCE program is a really great experience for its students, beginning with the introductory cross-cultural seminar class as freshmen, ending with a reflection on our own cross-cultural experiences before graduation. This program not only teaches students about other cultures and how or why those cultures differ from our own, but they give students the chance to live and experience those cultures for themselves. What you learn on those trips is often way more valuable than anything you could learn sitting through a lecture back at school. I learned that every person you meet will have their own story, and it often differs from your own. In the workplace, being able to listen to and learn from other stories and why they are the way they are will not only help me improve my relationships with those patients, but also help me know how to treat and work with them in a clinical setting.
How has the Carroll Physical Therapy program helped prepare you for the actual workplace?
The Carroll Physical Therapy program has done so much more for me than just teaching me book knowledge. The program has taught me how to work as a team and how to process and handle actual clinical situations. Grasping the concept of working as a team is vital to survival throughout school, and adopting that team-oriented mindset will only benefit me in the future workplace. Group study and skills practice is highly encouraged, and through doing this, I have not only learned how to better master my own skills as an aspiring physical therapist, but I've also learned how to be a professional in the workplace and how to work alongside a large variety of people. Practical assessments are consistently given to us as students throughout our years and have helped prepare me for legitimate situations I will encounter and how to process the information given to me and apply it in evaluation and treatment of my patients. By the time I graduate, I will have gone through 3 different clinical rotations as well, where I'm in the workplace and I see how different settings and physical therapists operate.
How has taking classes outside of your major and physical therapist emphasis helped you grow as an aspiring physical therapist?
I'm in the minority of my physical therapy class, having been a business administration major in undergrad while still maintaining my physical therapy emphasis. I think it is amazing that Carroll gave me the ability to take business classes, such as accounting and marketing, while still working toward my doctorate of physical therapy. My business degree not only allows me to view my workplace from a different perspective than those who took only science-oriented courses, but also can open many doors for me in the future, which was extremely important to me with my ultimate career goal being to run my own physical therapy clinic one day. The other general education classes required at Carroll were also very helpful, as it not only gave me knowledge of subjects that I would have otherwise lacked, but allowed me to learn how to work with students who had different majors and interests than my own.
Physical therapy has the potential to be an extremely stressful occupation at times. How have you learned to cope with this stress?
For starters, I chose to pursue physical therapy because I knew it was something I was genuinely passionate about, and I believed I would be doing a job I enjoyed each and every day. So with that in mind, I hope I'm not often stressed or discouraged with my work. However, I realize that every job has its moments of stress, but I believe Carroll's program has prepared me for those instances. I quickly learned that, although the instructors in the program want nothing more than for you to be successful, they also want to challenge you and make you think critically. The workload they have given me has taught me how to be detailed yet efficient with my work, and I was taught techniques by my professors to help with that. Time management is also a skill I had to quickly develop, and my instructors helped me learn how I can best manage my time and plan ahead, because if I failed to do that, I would not simply succeed. Those time management skills have been vital for keeping my stress at a minimum. The program also purposely puts you in stressful or challenging scenarios at times through assessments like practicals so that you can learn how to work under that type of pressure, and each time you do that, it becomes so much easier to the point that where you learn that you can critically think your way through almost any situation.
What have you learned about interprofessional collaboration, and how will you apply that in the workplace?
The Carroll PT program has put a huge emphasis on interprofessional collaboration throughout the first year of graduate school, as it is a vital cornerstone to any future place of work. As a physical therapist, I will not only be working with other PTs and PT aides, but I could potentially interact with surgeons, nurses, occupational therapists, physician assistants, and so on within the healthcare field. It is important to be able to connect with these other professionals in order to provide optimal care to our patients. One of the huge benefits of Carroll is that they have programs for PAs, OTs, and nurses as well, and we will eventually have courses where we have a chance to work with them and learn core interprofessional concepts such as who has what roles and responsibilities, how to communicate and distribute tasks, and how to manage conflicts, all while continuously improving our leadership skills.